What's going on, everyone? It's Zaino here with another Balatro guide. Today we are discussing how to achieve high scores in Balatro. When going after personal best and those super high scoring runs, the anatomy of your build is going to change drastically in comparison to just winning a run. Note that we are not jumping into infinite runs quite yet, as those require very specific builds. Today I'm going to simply discuss my 5 tips for going after high scores and then run through a quick playthrough using those tips. However, many of these tips would apply to an infinite run, so just keep that in the back of your mind. So without further ado, tip number 1. Thin and shape your deck from the very start. When going after high scoring runs, the easiest way to do so is with a predictable and reliable deck that focuses on a few key cards, or even a few exact copies of one key card. This means opening up Arcana packs, opening up Spectral packs, as well as grabbing, a trading card joker or DNA early when given the chance. Oftentimes for normal runs where you're just trying to win, you may save your money for, additional alt jokers or, chip jokers, but in high score runs, you want to begin shaping your deck as quickly as possible. Tip number 2 is knowing that the key to hitting ridiculously high scores and scaling with the high antes is getting re-triggering multiplying mult from your cards, not your jokers. While in a normal run, the trio and the family, for example, could be absolute great jokers. Of course, the trio times this by 3 when a 3 of a kind is played, and the family times this by 4 when a 4 of a kind is played. What allows you to score ridiculously high scores is getting cards that can multiply by times 2 or times 1.5 multiple times. So what does that mean? Cards like Sock and Buskin mixed with Tribulate and a Blueprint are what will allow you to reach these coveted exponential numbers. This means that you are looking to make your cards red sealed, steel, and maybe ideally polychrome. Meanwhile, you'll be hunting down re-triggering jokers such as Mime, Sock and Buskin, Dusk, and others. Lastly, you'll be looking for cards such as the Idol or Tribulate to add even more effects to those cards that are being re-triggered so often. So the idea here is to achieve these high scores, you're really going to be relying on the mult coming from your actual playing cards, not from your jokers. Your jokers are going to be used to, apply that mult to the cards like in the Tribulate or re-triggering those cards. Tip number 3 is to simply use the plasma deck. When going for high scores, your mult will often reach the billions and beyond, while your chips are stuck in the hundreds to the thousands. However, due to the plasma deck's balancing technology, you can even out your mult and chips, leading to exponentially higher scores. So let's go over an example. If you had 1,000 chips and 1 billion mult, you would score 100 billion points with any other deck. However, with the plasma deck, your score would be 500 million chips times 500 million mult, which is 250 quadrillion or 2.5 e to the 17. There is a drastic difference, as you can see, between a normal deck and what the plasma deck is capable of with the same exact mult and chips. Tip number 4, and now we're really getting into specifics. Kings are the best card to shape your deck around since they can be used with Tribulate as well as Baron. Both of these jokers can lead to massive scores if you are able to move most of your decks. 2 Kings is by far the most powerful single playing card in the game due to the amount of synchronizations it has with jokers to help high scores. For example, Tribulate mixed with Sock and Buskin means that each king is providing times 2 mult and Sock and Buskin's re-triggering that. So now each king is doing times 4 mult. Now you can imagine with brainstorms and blueprints how crazy of a score that can lead to. In the same vein, if you have a deck of all kings and now the only thing left in your hand after playing all your kings is more kings, you can see how a Baron could absolutely help the score there by triggering each one of those kings as 1.5. Now if we get even crazier, like I was speaking to earlier, imagine a deck of all kings that are steel and red sealed and polychrome. So now you can play those kings with the Tribulate, with the re-triggering. You have Baron allowing for more mult for the kings in hands on top of the steels, on top of the red seals, and it starts getting crazy and crazier and crazier and crazier. And this is how you're starting to see, e to the 40, e to the 50 type of scores out of your favorite streamers or content creators, or, just fellow players that you see posting on Reddit and the Discord. The final tip, number 5, is to see as many shops as possible and limit your skips. Since going after high scores requires such hyper-specific jokers as well as a predictable and thinned out deck, you want as many chances as possible to see shops. There are not many tags that would be worth skipping for unless you already have the dream setup in the late game. Along those lines, I highly recommend using both hieroglyph and petroglyph to go back antes and see more shops when those vouchers are available to do so. In general, in these high score runs, you're probably going to be purchasing loads of vouchers because the whole focus is not on just winning, it's about the long game, it's about reaching those high antes, it's about getting the perfect score. So you're going to be a little bit more particular in the shop, going after very specific set of jokers, very specific set of vouchers and all that. But the most important part here, and why I think it's important to note, is I see so many people skipping, to get tags. And while tags can be fun, you are going to get much more out of the shop by just playing that blind, playing that round, and getting to the shop, because you never know what shop is going to have, the Arcana pack with the legendary Joker Tribulate that will help you go off and have your absolutely crazy run. So now we're going to jump into a game together and try for high score on an unseeded run. No promises, as often you need a couple of tries to really get it run going and get that super high score, but we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how I would play it when the goal is simply trying to set up my deck for the long term for Endless. Hopefully this is a great run. If not, I have plenty of clips that hopefully I can show you what the end of a great run looks like, but really the point of this part of the video is to show you the first steps. Like, how do you approach the first few shops, the core game, while trying to set yourself up for an endless super high score run. So let's jump into it. So as I mentioned, I'm not going to be skipping very much. I mean, occasionally I could see someone arguing to skip for a rare tag, but I don't even think you need to do that because not all the rare jokers are actually that helpful in this case. Obviously, ideally, we get enough points to one shot this blind, so we have enough points. This doesn't quite do it. Well, we do have one more discard because it is white stake difficulty, and I guess that's another tip is, obviously play on the easiest difficulty when you're going for the highest score. You can play higher, but I recommend to do this. So there we go, we see the shop, and now, like I said, Arcana and a Spectral. What I will say is it's not a bad idea to get just, a Joker to make sure your run can continue while you go search and thin out the deck. So I don't hate the idea of grabbing a Scholar, but because we are playing with the Plasma deck and I'm confident that I'm able to get through this, I'm going to go ahead and grab these first. Now, there's something I messed up right there that's a small little tip. I often buy my Arcanas before I buy my Spectrals because there's a chance I get a Wraith, and now I'm going to have $0. If I would have bought the Arcana first, I would have had, my Arcana card and been able to get the Wraith. So there's a little one for you. Ancient Joker. This is kind of a card I was talking about where you get times 1.5 molt from a specific type of card. However, Ancient Joker is weird because unlike all the other cards which shift their probabilities based off of how you've shaped your deck, Ancient Joker does not. So, for example, the Idol, if my deck is all Kings of Hearts, it will only show up, times 2 molt for Kings of Hearts. Ancient Joker's not like that. I could have all Kings of Hearts and it's still going to be like times 1.5 for Spades. And you're like, okay. So it's only useful 1 out of 4 rounds. Not ideal. So a Joker that can be useful for a high score, but you need it to hit the right suit, and that's just not gonna happen often enough. Let's play this 2-pair. Again, we're on the Plasma deck, so we really don't need to be stressing too much in terms of playing the perfect hand, especially in the early antes, because you're gonna get what you need. And look, we just play another 2-pair, and we'll be fine. So we see another shop. Got $6 in hand. Now Bloodstone's interesting. Bloodstone can be a card. Usually it kind of requires a negative oops all 6s, but it can be a card that is helpful for your high score runs. So I'm going to go ahead and buy it. I would argue that the King of Hearts, when talking very specific, out of all the different suits, is the card I would be going for a high score run if I'm going to choose just one card. And of course, we get no hearts. So we'll play that little 2-pair. That'll get us like, oh, didn't get us like any points. Well, I guess the key is chips early with the plasma deck. And that's the other thing, when you're playing the plasma deck and you're just trying to win the first couple of rounds, you know, you could just get like a stuntman and you're pretty much good through the first few antes, because it's going to have the chips and molt, and you can let your chips far past your molt in the early game. Obviously the late game is where it really counts. Pareidolia can be nice if you have a Sock and Buskin, but the card that you had been shaping your deck around doesn't happen to be a face card. It's not a bad idea to pick up. We're not going to, but just keep that in mind. Mega Buffoon Pack. Now, I will argue this might be a tag that I would consider in some circumstances, just because it allows you to pick 2 jokers. We're not going to grab it here. We're going to continue to see more shops, but don't hate that idea. So I'm going to try and get another couple kings out here to make them hearts. But I'll go ahead and use the queens for my example. That also works. If you remember back to our guide to, you know, how to shape and build your deck, I did heavily go over and we were aiming to make Kings of Hearts partially with this video in mind, because Kings of Hearts are the card I am most often trying to shape my deck around. We'll go ahead and grab this Arcana pack. We get to make more hearts. We'll absolutely take that. Ideally, we're going to make them all kings, but for now, I'll take that. I guess we'll take Clever Joker, but I'll grab a Gross Michelle and we will continue. Again, I just want to play some hearts, but I'll go ahead and play a 3 of a kind. That's fine with me. We'll discard all this. And we get a Royal Flush. Not too bad. One thing I will note is that I'm making lots of hearts, but we are going to try and make a lot of things Kings of Hearts, so this is more of a necessity for just getting through the game. I'm definitely going to take a strength to turn a couple of queens quickly into kings, so that will be good. You don't necessarily want to ignore celestial packs, I would say, for getting through the game, or if you're going for high scores on other decks that aren't plasmas to get your chips up. But in the plasma deck, it really does not matter, because our molt's going to be so absolutely astronomical that chips are going to become pointless at that point. So we'll continue. All right. We'll discard all this. We'll play this full house. We'll just hold on this strength. I know that queen's gone, but it's okay. We'll discard again. Maybe we'll be able to get another queen out. Discard one more time. And we'll play this full house. And again, we'll just use it on queens next round. Ideally, I don't want to hold on to this for too long, but I want to get a 2-for-1 out of it to make kings. We'll open up this Buffoon pack. Yeah, sure. Give me some molt out of my face cards. I don't hate the Crystal Ball voucher. I think that could be really useful. Just to, you know, have more space in there to hold consumables, because again, Arcana packs are going to be a big part of this build. So there we go. We got a few more kings in our deck already. Doing some discards. We got a nice little full house here. Got some extra molt on top of it. Thank you, Bloodstone, for hitting. That's always fun. And then we'll just play this 2-pair and get out. All right. Would love to actually get some more chips, or, you know, a 4 of a kind out of my kings, but Chariot, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to shoot to make all my kings steel. And the reason I'm choosing steel over glass is simply glass breaks. Yes, glass helps with the re-triggering in hand and is overall better, but the thing is, if I made my whole deck steel kings, and I can get a couple of those vouchers to increase hand size, I'm getting a lot of molt from in hand, and those cards are never breaking, so every king becomes valuable. That's kind of the thought process there. Don't hate a hangman, but let's start... Well... Yeah, we're going to do this, and then we're going to fool to get another chariot. I was going to say I was going to save this for a heart, but now I have one to put on a King of Hearts. And there we go. Now, again, I'm probably going to play that Steel King, but the thing is, I have it when I need it. You know, if I have in the pool 5 kings, or 6 kings, then I don't have to use this one, which is, you know, even better. Gonna play all this. Unfortunate. Just gonna play another throwaway hand. Hopefully we get our kings out. Well, it's been a little tough. A little tough there to get the kings. Alright, hopefully they come on this one. Otherwise, this might be a short little video. That was unideal. And this is going to happen when you shoot for high score runs. So sometimes you're just not going to get what you need. As you can see, not all your high score runs are going to hit immediately. And I'm not going to sit here and play for hours going for that perfect run for the perfect score. What I am going to do is show you some highlights of me doing that from stream, where I have spent quite a bit of time doing this. And just a note that if you see people, you know, again, on Reddit, Discord, content creators who get high score unseeded runs, they're not doing it on their first try. It takes a while. It takes a few attempts. And once you get the hang of it, you know what you're going for, you can kind of speed through the process, get a feel. And when it hits, you know, you're ready. You put your deck together and you're off and running to, you know, ante 14, 15, 16, 17. And who knows from there how high you can go. Balatro 11 points. Maybe. What's a little irritating is we have not gotten the voucher. Hi, Pika Penguin. We haven't gotten the voucher to make our hand size bigger, which would be very nice. Welcome to the stream. Okay. So, we put this back over here, since it's on King of Hearts. Ideally, kind of want to save my glass. So we're going to go that flush 5. We're keeping... Oh, no. We can use this one. Put that first. Alright, here we go. I'm glad you joined the tier list. You're in the minority. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Hollywood, for the follow. Right after this. Here we go. Yes! I finally got it. Oh. Alright. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you next time.